We hear a lot about the current age of disruption, but it is also the age of distraction. If you're a speaker, then today's minuscule attention span on the part of your audience is definitely a big problem. How can we speak in a way that keeps the audience with us and off their phones and escaping to the charms of the internet? We need to look at our speech forensically, breaking it down into 5-minute blocks and structuring those blocks so that we can keep changing the rhythm of the speech to keep the audience with us. How do we do this? Welcome back to this weekly edition every Tuesday of the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, President of Dale Carnegie Training Japan and best-selling author of Japan Sales Mastery. We are bringing the show to you from our High Performance Center in Akasaka Minato-ku, the business center of Tokyo. Why the cutting edge? In this show, we are looking at the critical areas for success in business in Japan. We want to help advance everyone's thinking so that we can be at the forefront, the cutting edge of how to flourish here in this market. Before we get into this week's topic, here is what caught my attention lately. Juniper Research says that the smart store market is projected to produce more than $78 billion in annual transactions in 2022. Amazon's Jeff Bezos sees seamless shopping as the way of the future. In Japan, Signpost has launched a rival concept to Amazon Go, the fully automated shopping experience. Signpost opened an experimental kiosk on Akabane Station here in Tokyo in October 2018. Cameras and artificial intelligence software track merchandise and purchases. They call the system the Super Wonder Register and say the system can be installed in any store. They plan to start selling their system in Japan and overseas, launching in stores, supermarkets, and train station kiosks this year. They are predicting installing 30,000 systems in Japan by 2021. San Francisco's Standard Cognition plans to enter Japan with their competitor system through a deal with the suburban drugstore chain, Yakudo. Japan's retail market for automated checkouts is promising, with more than 55,000 convenience stores and everyone having trouble hiring enough clerks to work in them. Kambara says Amazon won't share their Go technology with others. They are going to try and kill off existing retail stores. So we want to give retail stores the weapon they need to fight back. In other news, Japan's labour force in 2017 was 67.2 million workers. The government predicts that this will fall to 58 million by 2030. The labour participation rate by senior citizens in Japan is already high. The rate amongst men 65 and older is 31% compared to 23% in the USA, 21% in Sweden, and 9% in Germany. Women are a big hope to increase work participation rates. In Japan, in the age bracket between 20 and 54, the participation rate is 75% compared to 88% in Sweden, 83% in France, and 82.5% in Germany. A rise of 10% in Japan's rate would add another 2.4 million workers to the labour force. The Diet has approved the use of foreign workers, aiming for these 345,000 workers over 5 years to come to Japan. According to the OECD, the ratio of foreign-born people in Japan was 1.9% in 2017, compared to the OECD average of 13%. Maybe AI and robots will save the day. The Oxford University Nomura Institute prediction was that almost half of Japanese jobs would be taken over by robots and AI by 2030. Finally, 15% of Japanese say they have no social intercourse at all outside the family, the highest in the OECD. For young and middle-aged men, 8.4% live alone. 15% of elderly men living alone have fewer than one conversation in 2 weeks. Currently, 20% of Japanese are classified as lifetime singles. This is going to become a very lonely nation in the future. This is episode number 70, and we are talking about get your presentation rhythm going. それでは行きましょう. So let's get going. Usually a speech or presentation is somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour long. Obviously, the longer the talk, the harder it is to keep the audience's attention. Even worse today, everyone has their internet connection to email, social media and apps in their hand, right there under the desk while we are speaking. We have all become fervent multitaskers, listening to someone speak by surreptitiously scrolling through our email feed, Facebook or LinkedIn or all three. For the speaker to be persuasive, there must be a transfer of passion and belief to the members of the audience. How does this work when we speakers are only getting the partial attention from those we wish to persuade? The irony is we have never had so many devices to aid our message communication, and yet we are becoming less communicative thanks to our small screen obsession. Talking at others is not communication. Having our listener follow what we are saying, digest it and agree with it must be the goal. Otherwise, why are we bothering? We could just send everyone, 10 key bullet points by email and we can all, head off early to cocktails. Words carry their weight through the delivery. I was reminded of this recently when some clever person put together a video of Donald Trump speaking, but dubbed him with a very polished Oxbridge-style British accent. The precise same words were there in the original speech by the Donald, but they were magically transformed into something that sounded more intelligent. How was that possible? The delivery is what made the difference, and the dubbed speaker was very skilled and polished. Many people imagine that the content of their talk will be sufficient to carry the day with their presentation and that emphasising delivery skills is simply dabbling in verbal voodoo. Such beliefs are often firmly held by technically oriented people for whom proof, evidence, statistics and data are sacrosanct, solid and sacred. They believe that the weight of the evidence is all we need to persuade others. Not true. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, does it matter? Here's one of those cool hipster questions that people like to throw around. Here's another version. If your evidence was compelling, but nobody was paying close attention, would it matter? The answer is obviously yes, it matters. The degree of difficulty in being heard in a cacophonous, blue screen-focused world is increasing every day. We have to rise to the task. Let's presume that the presentation's opening has been well designed and is successful in grabbing the attention of even the most distracted audience. Before we get to the wrap-up and call for Q&A, we have our main points to present. This number will probably range between 3 and 5 points. If it is a 40-minute speech, then we have roughly 30 minutes for the main body, and so around 5 to 10 minutes per section of the speech. There may be main points and sub-points of each section, depending on the density of the topic and the complexity. How are we going to do all that? Find out more when we come back from the break. If you want to become a fully competent and confident presenter, then do the High Impact Presentations course. We are all being judged when we speak, be it in the internal team meeting or in a public environment, be it the big bosses, clients, or an industry audience. Everyone is evaluating us. Don't blow it. Get the best training on the planet. Do the High Impact Presentations course now in either Japanese or English. The bestseller, Japan Sales Mastery, is the new Bible of selling in Japan. To sell to Japanese buyers, you need to create long-term partner-level trust, fully understand Japanese buyers' real needs, convince buyers with your solutions, overcome their hesitation, fear, and doubt, know how to ask for the order, ensure repeat orders. This book is the product of 30 plus years in the trenches selling in Japan. Order Japan Sales Mastery now. Welcome back. We can take a bracket of 5 to 6 minutes as our framework for the speech. Each bracket needs to have a change of pace to keep our audience's attention. Even within the same topic or subtopic, we need to switch gears and vary the delivery. This is not something we leave to happenstance. We plan this from the very start. We might introduce a powerful visual effect, be it on screen or in the room using a prop. I used a rolled up Japanese scroll to great effect in a speech. I wanted to unfurl the scroll so it would drop quickly and reveal what was written there. I attached small weights to the bottom of the scroll to have it make a slight snapping sound when it unfurled for even more dramatic effect. On the scroll was written Datsu or New A, which was a play on words reversing a Meiji era slogan on Japan turning away from Asia and going towards European civilization. I was making the point that my country of Australia was moving away from Europe towards Asia. I could have just said so in words, but the scroll drop was much more powerful. On another occasion, I was making the point about Australia being as safe as Japan because of the similar very strict gun laws. Hidden in my suit jacket, I had a plastic replica Magnum 38 handgun, which Clint Eastwood made so famous in his Dirty Harry movies. It has a very long barrel and is a physically big gun. So even when viewed at a distance, it has visual impact. I slowly pulled the gun out and held it high above my head in vertical profile view to the audience, saying, "This is illegal in Australia, the same as in Japan," to make my argument about the safety of sending their children to study in Australia. Now, our speech cannot become littered with too many such devices every 5 minutes because we will be exhausting our audience. However, there should be a change of pace at regular intervals to keep our audience with us. It might be a powerful quotation, a joke, or a visual on a slide that grabs our attention. We are going for the mental equivalent of an audience stretch break every 5 minutes or so. The key is to plan the speech that way from the beginning if we want our message to be heard. We do want it to be heard, don't we? The Cutting Edge Japan Business Show is here to help you succeed in Japan. Subscribe on YouTube, share it with your family, friends, and colleagues. Become a regular. Thank you for watching this episode, and remember, hit the subscribe button. Our website details are on screen now. enjapan.dalecarnegie.com. It's awesome value, so check it out. In episode 71, we are talking about great customer service every time. Find out more about that next week. So, yoroshiku onegai itashimasu. Please join me for the next episode of the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show. We are here to help you, and we have only one direction in mind for you and your business, and that is up.